Hi, I'm Caroline Mitchell, canine behaviourist at Good Doggy. So maybe a bit of a random one today, but what exactly do a lion and a rope bridge have to do with solving reactive dog behaviour and anxious dog behaviour? Well, I will tell you. So let's just say that you and me are standing together at the end of a rope bridge and we have to cross that rope bridge to get to the other side. But you're afraid of rope bridges, so you don't want to cross the bridge. So we've got two options here. One, we could work together through the fear. We could build confidence. We could put some strategies together, and then we could walk across that rope bridge together. Or I could add something to the situation that was scarier than the rope bridge. So what if I brought my lion up to that rope bridge and set my lion free? What if I set Rufus running around behind you and then asked you to cross the rope bridge? The lion would probably feel scarier than the rope bridge, so I bet you would cross, and I don't even think you would cross slowly. I think you would run across that rope bridge. So how many times do I have to bring my lion to the rope bridge in order to convince you that just the threat of a lion would get you across that bridge? Maybe once or twice more before all it would take for me would be to say, if you don't cross that bridge, I'm going to bring my lion out. So the threat now of the lion is now just as scary as the lion itself. And I don't need a lion anymore to get you to cross that rope bridge. You'll just do it because I've told you that I could bring my lion. You're still scared of the bridge though, right? You haven't solved that problem. You are still scared of the bridge, but the lion has created a bigger problem for you. So what has this got to do with anxious and reactive behaviour in our dogs? Well, just like that, when your dog is faced with a fear, like that rope bridge, but maybe in your dog, it is meeting another dog, or perhaps it's meeting a stranger. So you could get somebody like me to come and help you. And just like the counsellor, we could work with the dog, we could build up trust, we could build confidence, we could build resilience, and that dog would eventually cross his rope bridge or meet the other dog or meet the other person without fear. Or we could introduce something scarier than the thing your dog is afraid of. So in our example, I introduced a lion to get you across a rope bridge, but maybe in this scenario, we introduce something like a check chain, or we jerk the lead, or we add some form of intimidation to that situation, which actually is scarier than the thing that your dog was scared of before. Once we introduce something scarier, a new threat, the dog's lion, then the dog will do the thing that we wanted them to do in the first place, because they are trying to avoid the threat of the worst thing that we have now introduced into that situation. That dog is not cured. They are still very afraid of people, and they are still very afraid of that other dog, or whatever it is, the fear that you're working on. That fear has not gone away. But it only takes a few times with a new fear to introduce that to your dog, to then rely on the threat of it. So we don't always need to use your shock collar. You won't always need to use your prong collar, but the very threat of what might come is enough to keep your dog doing the thing you wanted to do. So it kind of looks a little bit like the problem got solved. The dog is now not barking and lunging at other dogs. The dog is now not biting other humans. The dog is now walking across a pavement that he was previously afraid of. But it's not because he's not afraid. It's because he's afraid of what might happen if he doesn't. This then takes its toll, because having all of that extra fear inside you that hasn't gone away will start to spill out into other areas of that dog's life. So it will affect the relationship they have with their handler. So there's no longer a trust relationship there. It will affect the way that they cope by themselves. Attachment changes dramatically whenever dogs harbour up fear and things like that. The resilience is gone, so they won't cope with new situations very well. So when new problems then start to occur, then the dog goes straight back to the trainer, because that trainer was brilliant, weren't they? Were they? They solved the problem in maybe under half an hour. The dog was doing the thing they wouldn't do before, and that feels like that problem got solved. So that trainer, they'll keep going back to that trainer. Eventually, those kinds of training techniques will stop working. And then what will happen is that the trainer will just tell you one of two things. Either you need a bigger lion, bigger shock, bigger aversion, bigger fear introduced into the situation, because that fear is overwhelming now on the inside of the dog. Or the trainer will blame you and say that you didn't do it well enough, you didn't do it hard enough, you didn't do it often enough, you weren't convincing enough, you weren't dominant enough, you know, that because you let your dog go up on the bed, that undid all that other training, because you let them sit on the sofa, because you shared your food with them. All of these things that trainer will tell you, because they're trying to convince you that it's not them that was the problem ever, or their techniques. But all of that stuff that's happening on the inside is starting to spill out. When you use a confidence building technique, none of that stuff happens. You don't get any of those side effects. The dog will walk across his rope bridge. He will meet the other dog, he'll meet the other person. And not only will he do those things with confidence, because we will get rid of that fear, but also there's no impact on the rest of his life. In fact, if anything, the rest of his life, he becomes more confident. He can cope with things better. When you build resilience up rather than knock it down, it means your dog can cope with stuff that happens, those curveballs in life that you're not expecting, you know, that person that just suddenly runs out in front of you when you're walking your dog, the dirt bike that suddenly shows up in the park, you know, the swan that suddenly runs at you. Those are the things that your dog will cope really well with when their resilience is high. When their resilience is low, they cope very badly. And those again get internalized when they're using these kinds of treatments and techniques. So hopefully that explains how a line and a rope bridge are relevant to dog behavior, and why I only choose to use force-free and confidence building techniques whenever I work with a dog, and why I will never advocate for any kind of aversive techniques. Hopefully that has resonated with you somehow, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care for now. Bye-bye.